guys. Episode 4 of the Weebology podcast.
What's good, everybody?
How you doing there, Ricky?
I'm doing just fine, man. I was feeling pretty crappy this morning, but I feel absolutely great as soon as I walk in this apartment. How about yourself?
You know, I live here, so I didn't have to walk in.
I don't have to walk anywhere. So before we get into today's topics, I got a spicy question for you.
All right, hit me with a spicy question. Hopefully I'll have a spicy answer.
Yeah. All right. So
jalapeno. Okay, sorry.
Habanero. Obviously,
Go
let's
ahead.
talk about it. No, anime is known for a lot of its common visual tropes, and one of that is the craziest hair of all time. Who of anybody that you've ever seen in any anime would you want to acquire their hair? You could perfectly.
Oh, I get to acquire
it. You get to have it is now your hair.
Ooh.
You now get to have it.
I think the coolest hair is obviously anything in Dragon Ball Z.
Right,
I thought you were going to say who has the coolest hair or like most insane hair. I was going to say Super Saiyan 3, Goku, easy.
Oh, yeah.
But would I want to have to walk around with that mane?
You do have to walk around with that mane.
And stuff? Hell no.
Imagine the shampoo hygiene budget for that sucker. That's
insane. Mean, the volume was insane.
The volume alone. Only a Super Saiyan 3 can even hold his head up with that much hair.
And the hair dye? I mean, come on.
You'd have to find world-class barber and like block out your whole afternoon just to keep that.
It'd be hundreds of dollars to keep that in, you know.
So many dollars. Okay,
so like actually though, I think
you'd have to acquire it.
Fortunately, most of them have very similar hair.
Okay,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think just going with like a Ichigo, where it's just like
that is pretty cool.
It's just like a cool spiky hair, but it's not like. Wait, do I have to pick the color? Because if I have to go with Ichigo's color, I'm not going with it.
That's it. You get it from the character. You don't get to augment it in any way. It just is.
Jeez. Ooh, I like Minato's, but you know what? He looks a little like. I think if you put Minato in the real world, you'd be like, "What the heck is wrong with this?"
He's got like the sweet burns. Yeah,
I'm like, ew.
I know, man. I was thinking on the way over here, I would Kakashi any day of the week.
Oh, it
holds
is
itself
sick.
up. It is white. It's super cool, and I don't know that or honestly.
Mob Psycho 100, you sicko.
I was gonna say my guy, dude. So it's not that far off.
Come on, you're joking.
I am joking. I would want Aizen's hair before he loses it to, his hollowed form.
Oh, I actually love his hair.
He swoops it back,
and he's got that like one string coming over.
Yes, that is a man who knows how to go from unassuming captain to like just literal
bamf
head,
clearly.
Dick in charge. Cool hair, so I think that might be mine.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going with that one too.
All right,
because I'm a bandwagoner.
Double eyes and hair, I like it.
All right, so this episode, guys and gals, we're gonna be going over this question I kind of came up with randomly while I was thinking about topics. I realized since we're kind of the Weebology podcast, it'd be nice to kind of include like Japan and Japanese culture into it.
I liked it a lot, and I was telling you.
Well, let me say the question first.
Okay.
So the question was, what about like Japan or Japanese culture? Kind of originally intrigued you and kind of brought you into the space, and then also what kind of either tropes or little parts within anime that you see like frequently kind of remind you of that or kind of like hearken toward that. And then the second part of the episode is going to be
let's call it Pitch or Pitch.
Yeah, we're going to call it Pitch or Pitch.
And what we're going to do is...
No, Pitch or Ditch. That's right.
Pitch or Ditch.
That's
You're right. That was brilliant. Pitch or Ditch. So what we do is we're going to give each other... We convene briefly before the episode starts, see if we have a couple picks we want to bring forth to each other, kind of broaden our catalog of anime that maybe we would not have been aware of. We each pitch each other a show, and then maybe in a week or two, an episode or two, we'll then come back, see how well we did at pitching each other the show, and then we decide pitch or ditch.
Right. And then, obviously the 3-episode rule applies.
It has to be done.
Right. If you don't make it past the 3rd episode, you
better come with
clearly a ditch.
You better come with reasons though. Someone's gonna be hype on a show, and then you come in and you're like,
you got a point.
So you gotta come in. If you ditch, you gotta ditch with purpose. You gotta
Fair
ditch
enough.
like you mean it. So all right.
Sorry, I cut you off though with the question. You said you were thinking about this.
I was saying I was really kind of, the more I thought about this question, the more I liked it, because I mean, I remember I took like a modern Japanese culture class in college, and
Wow.
I did. It was fun.
What a weeb.
It was, I know, right? It was Dr. Yagi was the professor's name. That man was so cool. He was so down to earth, and but I never put it. It was never in like a context of anime. We had a couple little bits of anime in the course here and there, just because it does have a international impact on the way people see Japanese culture. But it was interesting to do the second part of this question, where what in anime does Japanese culture influence and show, and vice versa,
Right.
a little bit. So I want to know what made you think of this question. Like, why? Just because we are the weebologists, or what about Japanese culture got you stoked to learn more about it?
Yeah, so I think what was really cool, and the reason I kind of thought about this question in the first place was throughout my viewing experience through anime, I've kind of noticed these certain like little like quirks within the shows that were always kind of showing up, and like I don't know, I love those little quirks that they always have. But you know, Japanese culture is really interesting to me, and I mean I'll just hop right in.
Go for it. Yeah.
I think what's kind of the most interesting is it's a society built on pure culture, like spirituality, and like kind of a organized society, but they also just love the crap out of all this other stuff.
And that's the thing.
It's like the most repressed but open society
Yes.
in the world by far.
The thing is that it feels, if you were to just drop somebody into Tokyo and didn't tell them, let them speak to a soul or anything, just get the aesthetic and come back after like a half hour. Western society as it comes. But you get to the Chewy Center, it's way more impactful. I mean, this is a country that's been closed off for the bulk of its history, was closed off and kind of hibernated in its own culture, is what you're saying. And it's very, very deep and rich with this outer layer of amalgamation from everything around, all the cultures that it came in contact with, which I have one big point about that later. But I think for me, they're a collectivist culture. They do things, they achieve success for the betterment of the whole, not in more of an American westernized sense of you can achieve the American dream. You can come out on top. You're not really thinking of the collective the same way the Japanese do.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously going to a Japanese school would probably not be as cool as it seems from the outside.
I love that you brought that up because...
But, I mean, thinking about, you know, the school is basically making food that is healthy for these kids. They're teaching them about nutrition. The kids have to help serve the food, clean up after themselves.
Yeah, they have to...
They clean their own classrooms after, you know, the day ends. Like, it's a different society based on like the respect for the ability to do things that I think we've kind of lost in like American culture. I mean,
I agree.
I know, you know, at high school or even earlier, it would just be like, you know, if there was something on the ground, you wouldn't pick it up. You'd wait for the janitor to come do that.
Absolutely. You tell me right now if you ever heard of a Japanese food fight in a
Yeah,
middle
good
or
point.
high school. No fucking way in hell is that happening. Because you know all the kids are like, all right.
Oh, yeah, but we got to clean
you
it
had
up.
fun. Get to sweeping. Get to sweeping.
But I mean, and then, you know, the respect they have for like their teachers and their like elders.
It is. Yeah.
We've lost it in the U.S. And it's just, I think, kind of hearkening back to a better time in the U.S. where, you know, people would respect their elders, they'd respect their teachers, and kind of like be good stewards of the kind of like opportunities they've been afforded. Like going to school is not like a universal right in most countries. It's like really high privilege.
Right. And it's sought after by the youth in those cultures just as much and as in proportion to how much they're taught to value it. You know, I think it's interesting what you said about
everything I say is interesting.
What?
Everything I say is interesting.
Oh, everything? Yes. Well, you're lucky you're not an authority figure because I would have agreed with you wholeheartedly. The way they see authority fascinates me because they have this weird dichotomy in, you know, raising youths and just living as a Japanese society member as a whole that authority will outweigh, in a lot of the cases, the honest truth of the moment. It doesn't matter if the authority figure is wrong. It's the authority figure. There's a concept in my research I found called mentsu, which is the concept of saving face. Is that there is this idea that it's a very, like, the way I put it was, it's a social, like, socially facing centric society. Like, they will try to make sure that they are seen as, you know, stewardly and collective and part of the whole and not disrespectful. And I was wondering, well, wait a minute. Oftentimes you see a lot of these main characters, Ichigo, Naruto, are, you know, delinquent.
That's a huge part of my, like, what is so interesting to me. It's a country that worries a lot about respect and all this stuff, but they've legitimized the Yakuza. Yeah. Like, they have actual offices.
Oh, is that for real?
So they're, like, super interested in delinquency.
And
think about all these animes where there's, like, either a gang member or a delinquent, you know, that kind of thing. It's very interesting.
And dude, and looking at a list of what they consider delinquent behavior in a high school, all right? Girls wearing lip gloss.
Oh my gosh.
Slight deviations to uniform.
Well, how dare you?
Something they call casual speech, aka not calling, you know, your teacher senpai.
Yeah.
That is delinquent behavior instantly. And these characters, you're looking like Ichigo and Naruto, and you just pick a high school protagonist. It's basically this behavior to us is seen, they're being children, they're childish, they're in their teens. This is hard, like, edge delinquent behavior. But why do you think that is? Why is that romanticized in some kind of way? Is it a vicariousness to kind of act out this?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone that is repressed in some way just longs to kind of
break out,
cut loose, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I was going to say in terms of an animes and, like, some things that harken back is, like, they, for some reason, have legitimized the Yakuza, right? But they still, like, obviously don't, they fear them. Like, they don't want to, like, hang out with them, right?
Yeah.
But it's very interesting to me that almost every anime has that character.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
It's just, like, a total rebel to society.
Or, like, they seem to have, like, they're romanticizing, like, gang behavior. And, like, I think it might be because of how closed off their society is. Maybe having friends is a little, I would just imagine, like, interactions between people is probably a little strange.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, when you get to be in a gang, you don't have to worry about, you know, like, sucking up to your boss, or you don't have to worry about, you know, did I speak properly or formal enough? I think it's just kind of like we would act in America, where we just get to, like, hang out and talk about whatever.
Right.
And that's what I think their idea of what a gang is. But, like, for us in America and, like, I'm sure around the world, like, gangs are, like, hardcore.
Way more ruthless. And that's so funny you say that, because you're probably right on the money, because despite this legitimization of Yakuza and other gang groups that in the research I had that are normally basically, if you're Japanese and have tattoos, it's almost guaranteed that you are in a gang of some kind. But that being said,
especially, like, back tattoos. I don't think you can even get back tattoos unless you're in the Yakuza.
Is that, like, legit?
I think
so.
Like,
this ink, taking it off, you're just skinning that bitch. You're out. Nope, you don't belong.
I just think it's dangerous because they do their open bathhouses, right? So you're all there basically naked.
Pretty much.
And I think if they, like, see tattoos and stuff, potentially you could be in trouble with some
I want to get
in
that vein. I want to get something, like, totally weird.
But, like, you know what's really cool about their tattoos?
I want to get, like, a clown on my back.
Oh no!
Just like, what does this mean? Huh, guys? What's that mean?
You're gonna get killed, dude.
You're gonna get killed. You're starting something new.
I think it's the stories, like, the way they do their tattoos. Like, even the gangsters are, you know, kind of caught up in, like, historical Bushido, like, samurai way, right? I mean, you know, they always in anime, there's, like, this way of doing it, or, like, a proud way of acting. Like, Ichigo always acts like the coolest kid in the world, right?
Right.
Or Naruto has his ninja way.
You have your ninja way. And I think it's partly that's a big reason why in the mentality of Japanese folk, where you have this legitimized crime, yet Japan is one of the lowest crime indexes in the world. So where does that leap happen? And I think it's a little bit of, maybe not to the extreme as it's romanticized in animes and stuff like that, but people definitely perceive that there is a way to do things. Not stepping out of line is probably the best way to get that done, get that success, and keep everyone centralized.
The thing about statistics, Rick, is it all depends on what your population is. My concern, at least with a statistic like that, is you have these legitimate Yakuza like businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially they're just not looking at anything related to the Yakuza because they've like kind of put their seal of approval on the business.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Like
maybe it's
like
more violent. Maybe it's violent crimes.
If it's state kind of sponsored, whatever it is, you can't really say. But that's also federal crime.
You gotta pass. You gotta pass.
Right.
Is what you're saying. But like, but they're like, why though? Why? Like, why does it seem like these folks get a pass?
Well, I think
it can't just be fear, right?
Well, what I think it really is they've legitimized it in a lot of ways to keep them to follow these rules. So what they've kind of made compromises with them, like instead of like all out street brawls and like murder sessions like we have in the States, I think it's a lot more like, you stay in your corner, we'll stay in our corner, we won't do anything too insane. Like they obviously do crazy crap, like
I can see that
for sure, but
I can see that.
I think they've put up these boundaries, and it's kind of seems to have helped with their crime rate. I don't know obviously if the numbers are legitimate or not. But there's just a couple other things I wanted to talk about from like a Japanese culture standpoint that have really like intrigued me.
What you got?
I think having all these temples and like all these like spiritual sites throughout the country.
Oh, yeah.
But also having like maid cafes and these weird hentai bars and an entire row of love hotels.
Yes.
Where like prostitution is legal. It's just very interesting that they kind of speak out of both sides of their mouth.
Yeah, I wonder, because it definitely is like that.
Or gambling. They're not allowed to legally gamble.
And that's a fascinating concept, because it's more of what I kind of said earlier. It's the Japanese seem to have always been really good in the last, like, say 50 or so years of amalgamating what they want in vein of success without foregoing what they have been, because Shinto temples literally everywhere, and very, very high population of Buddhists as well. 1% is Christian. And I want to say it's because they have maybe a recognition of that we need this as a stake to some level of success. We're willing to offer it. Does that necessarily make us believe what we're offering? If having maid cafes and love hotels everywhere right next to your temples, does that mean you can't also have the temples, right? Like they're not giving up what they used to have, but they know that people will fucking come to Japan for a little bit of love hotels. What I'm saying, like they'll come. I mean, and they're not disrespect. They're not going to say, we're not going to do it because you don't think it'd be a good idea. It'd be more like, all right, we can run this after we had temple time. We can come back and run this love hotel. We can do both. We can compartmentalize. Do you think that's a byproduct of Japanese and otaku culture, or the other way around?
I think Japan is, like, they've always strove to become a better society. I think perhaps it might just be that they may have ran the tests even to decide that this is what is going to help them accomplish their goal as a society.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you look way back in the past, they've been like a conquering nation, and they're significantly smaller than all these nations they've conquered.
Mm-hmm.
And then even from within, they had all these civil wars and stuff, but there's still this baseline respect. And then, I mean, I think it's hard for other countries to not semi-respect them. Obviously, China would probably be really hard to, anyways, like I think, I mean, we fought them in a war, right? In World War II.
Yeah.
But I think it seems like there isn't like any animosity at this point, really.
No.
I mean, I think we're allies now, obviously, but it's like kind of a respect that they were able to like pull themselves together, after that. And now they're like out on the front of the world stage, like presenting like tons of technological advances. A lot of companies that people think about that are like big time companies come from Japan.
And they have insane intellectual property laws as well, because they've recognized that Japan is going to make an intellectual mark as they go forward. It's their anime, it's their tech, it's the stuff they export, and not as a matter of produce or necessarily the physical objects. It is their intellectual property. And it's kind of what I think what you said was super smart about how, they seem to not, like, they kind of are speaking about both sides of their mouths a little bit. And if you want to tie that into anime, there's a lot of main characters that rise above the conformic pressures of a Japanese society by living that double life. Think Light Yagami.
Right.
That man lives the most perfect Japanese kid life. Anyone who looks at him on the outside is going to be like, wow, that man has his shit together. He knows what he's doing. Boom! Slaying people by the hundreds in his room casually and eating tater chips about it. And that's how he's overcame this particular issue, is by giving the society, royal flavor of society, what it needs to see out of you, and then also doing what you think will make you what you think is successful. Justice. Perfect justice in Light's case. Another good example, Kira from JoJo Part 4, which you haven't seen yet, but it is...
So maybe don't mention it there, bud.
I'm going to. Too bad. Everyone out there has definitely seen it because they're on their game, Ethan.
Look, I'm watching it.
I know. But there's characters everywhere that either live these double lives, or they just feel that they could just ascend and talk to everyone a little more condescendingly, and thinking like, let's see, Attack on Titan, Commander Levi.
Okay.
Levi. That guy talks down to every human being, but he also slices and dices.
Well, I want to say that's more of an anime trope where he's watched so many friends and people die. It's like he's putting up a barrier where he's not gonna like engage with too many people. Like,
that's
look,
fair.
I wonder whether it's looking down on, or he's just trying to like give himself a couple of degrees of separation, so that when they inevitably die, he's not gonna like take it too hard. Because I think he does mention that in some of the earlier episodes with Aaron, where he's like, "Look, dude, I've watched all of my friends die. Stop being a baby." You know, that kind of thing.
Stop being a baby.
I mean, like,
okay, that's a better way to put Levi than the way I'm saying this. But in any case, there are many characters that show that they either will just rise above the entirety of the society around them, or they kind of live this double life and give society what they want, but then do their own agenda. And something tells me that is a really relatable thing for a Japanese audience.
It's just, I mean, like, just, I want to give you like a few other facts, like within Japan, about like the whole reverence thing.
Yeah.
Or like the group think that they've got going on, or like the, it's better for society if people are thin or whatever, right?
Right.
So there's a couple things. One, if the train is even 10 seconds late, they like apologize on the news.
Jeez. Yeah. Mensu. Save his face.
They would never do that here.
Hell,
in
dude,
fact, trains are late by hours.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay.
In Manhattan, 40 minutes later, the train showed up, and they're like, get the fuck on.
They're just like, if you see something, say something. How about I didn't see my train for 40 dang minutes?
See it for 40 minutes.
And then also, I watched this guy abroad in Japan. And he's basically a UK like transplant to Japan. He went there to teach, English to Japanese students and things like that. Mm-hmm. And he learned kind of Japanese, had a lot of Japanese friends and things like that. And he was saying, they kind of take health seriously as a nation. So like when he was starting to get a little pudgy, people would come up to him and actually poke his stomach and like kind of draw attention
Get
to it,
out.
to use like peer pressure like in a hopefully a good way, right? But I mean, you see, at least in anime and all this stuff, all these people will commit suicide all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know like how, I haven't looked into the suicide rates,
I mean,
but I'm wondering, you know, for such a closed and repressed society, if you're like that quote unquote pervert or crazy person, or, you know, anything like that, or you're different than what everyone else is, or you don't want to follow the grain, I wonder if that just pushes you over the edge, because everyone acts the same way.
I 100% think it totally does. I mean, that collectivist conscience that they have. I mean, it's funny because if you were to take the ideals that they're striving for, there is no denying that they're great. But it's a matter of deviation. How deviant are you willing? Is that everyone else around you willing to be,
or like accept?
Right. Will they accept it? And if you deviate to a certain way, like the Yakuza,
yep, they have this problem where there's like,
they'll just lock it down.
There's way too much like child pornography and things like that in Japan. I don't understand this whole like super prim and proper and then like super deviant side.
I think
obviously it comes from, you know, being repressed and just like
one is definitely
losing
born from the other,
penduluming basically from one side to the other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a really weird thing, and I mean that kind of stuff seeps into anime.
It does.
And you know, we have a friend actually, RoboPat, who basically will not watch anything if there's like a lolly looking kid.
Oh yeah, like
just because like out of principle, because I mean in real life it is completely effed up.
It's trash. But I mean,
if it's a 600-year-old person in a like a little elf body, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, what do you want me?
I'm gonna watch.
I'm not gonna watch. I can scrub ahead to like you know, get to the part I want to like. It's this plot, you know, plot.
I mean, there's good shows, man. That they throw it in to appeal to other, you know, otakus or whatever.
Right, and it's weird because if it wouldn't be there if it didn't appeal to somebody, right?
Or maybe they're making a commentary on society, but in general, it's like seems celebrated.
Which society?
You know what I mean?
That's the one thing too. We got to remember.
Yeah, there's two societies in Japan, man.
Pretty
much.
It
really is. It's crazy.
And I don't know.
So like, a couple of things in like actual animes that every time I see it, I just like freaking smile or like really love it.
600-year-old lollies. I see you. Okay, I see you.
If there's a summer scene in any anime that is like kind of based in the real world, there's cicadas in every single summer scene.
In cherry blossoms almost all the time.
There's always a cherry blossom and cicadas.
Yep. That's just the weather they know.
And I'm just like, yeah, you're right. That junk is cool. Because I mean, for a long period of time, every summer we'd have cicada outbreaks or whatever you want to call it here in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Like we'd be at swim team or something, and you just hear all these like screeches. Yeah,
it sounds like a storm coming over the hill.
It really does.
I think for me, it was every time I see it in anime, like a traditional Japanese festival. Are you kidding me? Those look so fun.
Or like a sports festival at school.
They look so fun. Like, dude, I want to dress up in traditional garb. I want to go to that, and I want to eat weird like meats on sticks, dude. Like that sounds awesome. Eat some fucking octopus, man, and see some lights and I don't know. They do holidays right in Japan. One thing
I do. They go all out as like a
Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Valentine's Day here in the States, it's common, you know, that Valentine is more of kind of a mutual thing. In Japan, it's the women almost exclusively that will get it from men, friends, and coworkers, to the point where they actually have tiers of chocolate. There's like your basic chocolate, you got your like, okay, I'm saving up a little bit for my chocolate. Then there's like chocolate so expensive people are saving like monthly wages as offerings to lovers and stuff like that. So I don't know, holidays in animes,
absolutely,
I want it.
Badass.
I want to do some holiday stuff.
Just one more thing for me, like anime tie-ins. I love when they do like a little vocal quip or like something that is always repeated, or like just like something funny. I think in Reborn, he does all these like little costumes and he'll do these like funny ass voices. Like he'll pretend to be an old lady and I'm like, yade, yade, like this little baby. I don't know, man. That crap cracks me up. Or like even, when I first watched Naruto, I didn't hear him saying, or any like. But until like later on, it seemed like they just decided to go all in on that, and they would every sentence it would be like that. I feel like the first Naruto, it wasn't that bad.
We had to believe it, and then they kicked it up into.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't know what the heck happened. And then like laughs, I think are hilarious. Like in One Piece, every character has a unique laugh.
Is this
like Luffy's a she, or like Blackbeard is za ha 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 ha. You know what I mean?
I will say this kid gets really excited about these laughs, and they are super enjoyable.
Funny,
they're
dude.
super enjoyable.
Or Seke in Black Clover, he goes hee haw haw or hee haw.
Yes, it's a verbal signature. So
and they even start referring to him as like hee haw guy.
Yeah. Hey hee haw, what's good?
Yeah, it's actually hilarious.
Oh man, but yeah, Japan. It's an art form from Japan. And you can't help but leak a little bit of the culture in. But if you do a little bit of a deep dive yourself, you'll find that there's a lot of richness there. I like that. I like that topic a lot.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing is like all these contradictions. Like sometimes they're good contradictions, sometimes they're bad. But it's just like it's a society built on working together to achieve goals. And throughout history, you've seen it, man.
For better or worse.
For better or for worse.
All right. Well. Welcome to the first ever Pitch or Ditch.
Pitch or Ditch, Rick?
Ditch, Ethan. So
what's the point of this there, Ricky?
The point of this is I figured it was a segment we can do to not only see how well we can sell each other on a decent anime that we think is great and maybe a little underrated.
Sure.
But also to expand our horizons into hopefully some interesting new shows we've never been exposed to without each other.
Yeah, I think considering we have to go to work and stuff, having a valued member of our friend group giving us a suggestion hopefully means a lot.
Yeah.
Then also, if you screw up and suggest me something that sucks absolute ass, I'm going to say something about it, man.
See? So I have to know to curate, so we'll curate each other.
Yeah, so we'll have to curate
It's like telling Spotify that song sucked, and then he's just got to curate through it. Okay. So you want to go first or want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right. The show I have to pitch to you today is a show called Dimension W.
Okay.
So Dimension W, it came out winter 2016. I really, really enjoyed it. I actually was watching it randomly because I found it on Toonami out of nowhere, and I found the first 2 episodes subbed, by the way, on Toonami. It was like 2 a.m. in a hotel room.
Yeah, jeez.
But yeah, no, I was just up, and I was just like, all right, the hell is this? Episode 1, and I was floored at 2 episodes, but give it the 3. So, it's only 12 episodes, 1 season, very binge-worthy.
Okay.
Your premise are humans, 2071, have found a 4th dimension and a way to tap into that 4th dimension.
Let me guess. Dimension W?
Dimension W.
Okay.
So we have X, Y, Z, and then W. The wibble-wobble one that really can't be processed or anything. So
for those kind of just listening, he just kind of gave me an axis idea.
Yeah, so it kind of a weird axis idea.
Okay.
A company called New Tesla, who I'm referring to as Big Tesla Daddy, basically created a technology called coils, which can tap into this, extra dimension.
Are they Tesla coils?
They are, in fact, like Tesla coils, but basically unlimited energy. But that unlimited energy has been monopolized. So in 2071, the black market started flooding with illegal and unregistered coils. Enter our boy Kyouma Mabuchi? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you'll get there. He is an ex-soldier. He is a petrolhead, so he still drives a gas car in 2071. When the episode starts, it's just saying the big premise is petrol engines will be banned in 3 years. He's a mechanic. The hell is he going to do? So what he does for cash is he's a collector. He goes out and he will round up these illegal coils and sell them back to the company for cash. He basically is a dog for Big Daddy Tesla.
Okay.
So he goes on what is considered a routine.
But what's his superpower, Rick?
His superpower is that he can drive like a motherfucker. Ethan.
Okay,
he drives
cool.
like he means it, and he's good at it too. But yeah,
stand.
And his stand, it's Motorhead.
Oh, okay.
No, he
Sorry, devil fruit.
devil fruit. Oh, is there a metal devil fruit? I haven't seen that. I haven't seen
Yeah,
that
there is.
Then that one.
Magnetism, sort of.
There you go. So yeah, he routine trip goes a little bit awry, and shit hits the proverbial fan, and you're gonna have to watch more to find out.
So it's kind of like a Repo Man type.
Yeah, it's kind of like Neo Tokyo sci-fi Repo Man vibe going on to it early.
Neo Tokyo or Neo Yokio?
How dare you even say Neo Yokio in front of me?
Dude, you said Neo Tokyo. What did you want me to...
Not that shit, Ethan. You're better than that.
Okay,
You're better than him.
It wasn't... Like, I didn't hate it that bad, to be honest.
We'll definitely be doing a deep dive into Neo
Okay,
Yokio
we can
at
do
some
a
point.
deep dive. So, first impressions, I think it's certainly interesting. I could see, like, a lot of drama coming from that.
And it felt fresh when I watched it. It was definitely a premise. I'm a big sci-fi guy. It was definitely a premise that it seemed untapped, at least from my perspective. And I had a good time with it. So, like I said, 12 episodes. Clean that sucker out in an afternoon. I think it's underrated in my opinion. So
definitely, I'll hit that up then. I'll give it at least the 3 eps.
Gotta give me at least the 3.
I almost hope it's awful so I can just shred you on the next segment.
Oh my god. You can bring up banana fish next time.
Yeah, I do have a suggestion that he had made was banana fish.
It had mature themes, okay?
Like way insane stuff.
It's NC-17 rating as a manga.
I'm just saying, dude.
I'm just saying,
I'm
man.
willing to go ham-balam on that.
Nah, do Dimension W first.
Okay, so my suggestion for you, Ricky,
Okay,
is basically a vaunted, hallowed anime / manga that I know we hadn't previously watched.
Okay.
It's called Great Teacher Onizuka.
Okay.
The main character is Eikichi Onizuka.
Okay.
And the first thing you need to know about him is he used to run the biggest, baddest motorcycle gang they keep calling it Shonen. I don't know if that's an area of Japan or a region or something, a prefecture perhaps.
Yeah.
So he and his buddy had ran this massive motorcycle gang called the Onibaka, which to me sounds like it's like demon, like idiot demon or something. Anyways, so him and his friend decided to like give up that life and move to Tokyo. Well, he also just decides that he wants to become a teacher. So after his life of delinquency, he decides to become a teacher. So he's 22, and anytime he'll answer the phone, he'll say, Eikichi Onizuka, 22, teacher, and single. What's up? So as you can see, it's a very comedy heavy show.
I like that.
He decides that he wants to go into teaching so he can be around high school girls all the time.
Oh no. What are you getting me into, Ethan?
But I think you'll find by the end, like, he takes all of his crazy, experiences from his life of crime, essentially, and he molds like the best students you could possibly have. Because he comes into a school and a role where he's like basically unwanted by the students.
Oh wow!
It's like I forget what the movie is, where they like go into an inner city school and they teach them English or whatever. How do we reach these kids?
I don't know
exactly
the name of the movie,
like
but
that.
You get. I feel you. Okay.
But he's like the funniest freaking dude and an absolute badass.
All right. Okay.
The full length of the show is like I think 46 episodes.
Okay.
But fortunately,
all right,
it's all on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So it's not like you have to go to freaking Kiss Anime or anything like that to find it.
I may have to tell you about. I don't know. Dimension W might actually be streamable just from Dimension W. I don't think it exists on this mortal plane. I don't know where to stream it. I'll have to get back to you on that. But
okay,
we'll get you there.
Okay, yeah,
I'm in. And I did a
so
little research.
The other thing is, a lot of anime fans love the show, so it's like I think it's a pretty safe bet for the first pitch or ditch.
Okay.
Also, the first episode I felt was like it felt like a freaking movie. Like I felt like it was like a full 3 hours. It wasn't, but it felt like I'd gotten an entire story in one episode.
Okay.
So I don't know that you'll need all 3, but I think 3 is obviously ideal.
It is ideal. I'm gonna go ahead and is it in terms of length, or is it just packed with that much content in 23 minutes?
I honestly don't know if there was a singularity or what exactly
you somehow
happened.
stretched time, and they packed like an hour's worth of shit in a third of the time.
Either that happened, or like it potentially was an hour. I don't know. It was like I blacked out. It was such like a good episode. But near the end, I was like, "Damn, has this been going on for like 3 hours?" Like I seriously was like looking at my clocks. I'm like, "What's happening?"
Time warp, baby.
But I mean, I thought that was a really cool thing that this show obviously isn't 3 hours long, but it felt like a full length movie. I was like, "Holy shit!"
All right, I'm in it. There you have it, folks. We have 2 pitches. Let's see if
2 pitches. Whose will get ditched and whose will get hitched?
I think. I don't know, man. I think we both have some pitches on our hands because I like that. I did a little of the research too. I saw the ratings were kind of insane.
Yeah.
Like mine's sitting on like a high 7s, but I mean, everyone's like, "Yo, this is under fucking rated." Like, but that's the thing. I think what I have going for mine, it is bingeable. That is some sci-fi candy for your face, and you're gonna
okay, cool.
You'll be able to finish it very quickly. So.
Well, I mean, I think the concept that they kind of deal with really well in this show that I'm talking about is, what it means to be a good teacher. A lot of times, teachers will just be checking the box or they'll lose their passion. You know what I mean? But this guy he freaking loves his students and he'll do anything to help them. And I think, that's like a really wholesome feeling.
I think we can all use a little bit of wholesome. I could definitely go for.
We
some
could have
wholesome.
used some teachers like that through the years.
We
Rick.
I think we had a couple.
But, we had a good run.
Get a good run with teachers. Well, hey man, what are we trying to talk about next time?
I was wondering if I don't know if this will kind of line up, but if it's far enough in the future, potentially you'll have watched enough of GTO to be hooked.
Okay.
And then maybe we could talk about different teachers within animes and whether we felt like they actually had an impact on their students.
We're having a teacher talk, y'all.
Possibly.
Okay, because I want to, Assassination Classroom is what kept coming up in my mind.
Heck yes.
It kept
it's honestly, it's like a realistic version of that, and I actually think Eikichi is way doper.
Ooh.
Onizuka is way cooler.
Wow, this man went from hot takes to spicy just now.
I'm just saying.
Okay. He's got some big tentacle shoes to fill.
Hey, he sure does.
He sure does. All right, let's have if it's far enough in the future, we'll think about doing the teacher talk. Let's do another over under.
Absolutely.
Who are you feeling though? Who you want to be?
I think it'd be cool if we pick a character that is not obviously rated well or reasonably.
Right.
I don't know why, but Madara came to my head.
I think there's no way to overrate that man though. I just feel like there's no overrate.
Well, let's think about what actually he accomplished. He gets killed off screen. You know what I mean? I don't know. Well, that can't be the answer.
You know what? We're gonna do an over under. We're gonna deliberate off mic.
Yeah.
And we'll hit you with a surprise one next time. But
surprise.
We'll keep it a spicy pick. We only do the most spicy shit on the show.
Of course.
We only do spicy stuff.
The kings of hot takes. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening at home. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching this clip on YouTube.
Yes.
And also, please give us 5 stars if you're rating us on iTunes for the podcast.
Yeah, we're going to keep pushing that 10-star initiative.
Possibly
give it 5, somehow delete it, go again, make a new account, go again, give us another 5 stars.
I just think, it's really the least you could do.
It is the least. It is the least.
Costs nothing to rate us, but it helps us. Doesn't it, Rick?
Oh, it helps me. It helps me sleep at night too, which is always, I think, what people want is the best for our health. That's
right. I mean, I just stay up all night waiting for these 5-star reviews, and then once
he texts me about it.
Once we get 20, I can finally go to bed.
Yeah.
So it's every single day. It's kind of I I haven't slept in a while. Is all I can say.
Help this man sleep.
Let me go to bed.
Let this man go to bed. All right, y'all have a fantastic morning, evening, or
Deuces.